Welcome to the McKinney Podcast. We are in a unique podcast situation. We're doing a reverse podcast today. We actually have James and Fred sitting in the hot seat, and you've got Miles and Andrea and Brad of CBTX asking all the questions. What do you guys think about that?
Fred and I are very uncomfortable.
Are you?
Yes,
I can tell.
We're used to being in control.
What do I do? I'm just going to hold on to the armrests. And
who's asking the questions? We have to answer questions.
We won't grill you too hard. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
Be
I
gentle.
promise.
I just want to know real quick, because y'all do the podcast together and, in the top model competition, y'all are performing together. Any news you want to share with us there or anything?
No, we're both very happily married to other people.
That's right. Our wives. But when James first came to the McKinney Chamber of Commerce Links meeting on a Wednesday morning, he stood up and, with the same confidence, reckless abandonment, in who he is and what he's supposed to do, he just stepped out there, and I was like, I like this guy. I think I need to get to know him.
So it was love at first sight.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
That's good.
In a friend way.
A little bit of bromance there.
There's some
bromance way.
Bromance,
Yeah.
Show it on the stage. That's all I can say. Make that runway work for you
And
now.
that is really where we're having a hard time, because I want it to be this bro vibe, but there's not a lot of bro songs out there. So yeah, there's a lot of love songs, but that'd just be weird. I was like, can I say a little? One thing I will show our cards on is I've got one of those little four-wheeled hand cart things like we all used to have in elementary school, the little small one with the handles on the side.
Yeah.
There's going to be a recreation of the Celine Dion My Heart Will Go On scene on the Titanic with, I'm not sure if it's going to be me or Fred, but one of us is going to be like this.
I love it.
With that little piece of the Celine song.
I love it.
The rest of it, I have no idea.
We have no
we'll figure it
idea.
out.
Or if we come up with something better, that becomes director's cut and it's completely out. But it's got to be, totally over the top.
Completely ridiculous over the top. It has to be.
I love it.
You almost got to go Spice Girls Wannabe.
Oh.
That's not a bad idea.
I watched that video when it came out, and they have more hips than James and I put together.
This is true.
I don't know if you want to see that.
They have those costumes where you can have the extra hips.
But I'm also 55. If I work it too hard, there'll be ambulance.
Is there a
Is
doctor
it too
in the
late
room?
to schedule my Brazilian butt lift surgery? So,
Probably not too late to proactively schedule the chiropractor appointment.
Yes.
Fred, maybe you're onto something there. Maybe you go on and get up there and shake it like you make it. And we can have it set up that you actually throw your back out. And you could get the ambulance and a stretcher in there, and you'd win votes because they'd feel sorry for you. And get out there in the van and say, "All right, thanks,
vote.
appreciate it."
It can be like an NFL thing where like I'm down, we have to pause the whole thing.
Yeah.
Bring in the stretcher, and I just have to get the thumb up as you wheel me out.
Yeah, and we have somebody say, if we give him raise more money right now, pay for his hospital
pay for your medical
bills.
bills.
And
Maybe you could do
MEF
thumbs up
and-
with one hand and the other one do the money. Maybe
And then if it gets really good, then I can channel my inner James Brown. They used to walk him off the stage, and he'd be like, I'm all done, and then he'd like throw the cape off and come running back in, and so
This would be great.
yes.
I can
But you know what
already
though,
see it.
that kind of dates the room though, because
I was about to say, bro, I have no idea what
if you
just
don't
said.
know that reference, then
I
it
know
won't
the
make any
reference.
sense.
I got you.
That's right. So
You could do some James Brown. That could work for you guys.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be something from James Brown in there for
Good.
sure. And we can't do 8 songs without having some funk in the building.
that's
Gotta
right.
have
So-
something.
Well, now we know y'all are pretty excited and fired up, but tell me how you got roped into this being a top model, and apparently it's a deuce. So what happened?
Right there.
You're kidding me, right?
I have no idea. 1 minute, like I'm minding my business, doing life. Next thing you know, I'm like talking to James, and I swear he brought up this idea. And then we're at the Brooks house for the intro meeting, and I'm like, what am I doing here?
That
What
is not
this?
what happened. That is not what happened at all. We were the co-moderators of a debate back during election season. We did the mayoral debate.
first.
It was the Collin County Young Republicans reached out and asked us to moderate their mayor debate, which happened at the Impact Theater. And we're at lunch with Shelby McWilliams and whoever his person was. I forget what her name, a young lady who was doing marketing for them. And we're at the lunch, and Fred gets a message from Sheila Dew And Sheila said it basically was like trying to get Fred to be one of the top models.
Is that what it was?
Yes, bro. It's like what you just said is totally not that. It's not what happened at all, man.
I was so into the meeting and thinking, man, what an opportunity to showcase, the contestants for the office of mayor, because following up with Mayor Fuller, that was some big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
and for anybody to step up, I was like, man, what an opportunity. So this is why I don't answer emails or texts. So if that's how it happened, then
that's how it happened. And it took some convincing, because you're like, I don't know about it. I was like, Fred, you should totally do it. And then in the parking lot of whatever the restaurant was, it's over there at Hub 121. I forget what the name of it. The restaurant's closed now because they just weren't successful.
Breakfast 51.
No. That's right. It was Fork and Fire that closed. It's next door.
Broken Yoke.
Yeah, that's right. It's right there. But we're in the parking lot, and I was like, I bet they'd let us do it together. And he was like, maybe they would. And then you texted Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was like, yep, yeah, they said you could do it together. It was like, oh, okay, now it's on.
And that's how it began.
See, and that's why they don't let us sit beside each other at links.
So
gotta keep you guys separated.
That's right. There's some ideas.
Elizabeth plays adult in the room. She has to sit between us, or else we'll just make side comments the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that y'all are doing it together because, it could be a real scandal if one of you beat the other one, busted up the podcast and everything, and y'all didn't talk anymore. So now all we got to do is win, 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 and win.
McKinney Cares will be all over it.
I'm just telling myself that every donation for Fred is also an asterisk donation for me. That makes me feel better when Fred absolutely trounces me on the votes.
I don't even know. That's one of those things where I'm thankful for my wife that, and Elizabeth, I know you're going to watch this. Thank you so much, because all those things are just beyond me. I'm just trying to work through, stay in my lane, take photos.
Okay,
tell everybody how they vote too.
I know I'm not the host, but a lot of folks are sitting there going, "What on earth are they talking about?"
Right.
I have no idea.
That was just
can you guys give us a breakdown of exactly what this thing is, this event we're talking about? What is it? Why is it? How did it come about? I'd love some backstory there.
And I was just about to go there. You paid me for that transition. That was really good, James. Yeah.
Okay.
So McKinney Education Foundation is sponsoring, and for you guys out there, they're doing this huge Purses with Purpose. The event is already sold out, so you can't buy tickets, but what you can do is support the top models. The top models, there's actually 10 of them. James and Fred, of course, are here. They're the top models. And you go onto McKinney Education Foundation's website. You simply put in your vote, and you can do $1 for one vote. The more money that they raise, the more that McKinney Education Foundation can give to scholarships, can give to students, can give to teachers. Miles is actually on the board of McKinney Education Foundation.
How about that?
So you should talk as a board member.
Well, I'm a new board member, but the bank has been involved with the event for several years. Saw it was a great event. The top model component was a way to just spice it up, add a little something different. Yep. Also gives an opportunity to bring some people into the fold that maybe wouldn't be there that night to buy purses and bid on them, and it just kind of gave a different angle. And, really, it's pretty neat. The McKinney Education Foundation is a pretty simple organization. We're trying to raise money to be able to help the students in McKinney ISD. And that happens a couple of ways. I mean, number one is we give scholarships. We had 340 some odd scholarships last year. And so that's pretty neat. And scholarships, some of them are endowed and some of them are in and out and pass-through money and things of that sort. We also do grants for teachers, and they go through the school system. We're not in the business of picking. We're in the business of giving, but those grants help those teachers be more successful with the students, so the students more prepared to go to their next education level, has a better experience at McKinney ISD. And so really at the big scheme of things, we do several other things. We have college advisor program, things like that, help kids figure out, do I want to go to college? Do I want to go to trade school? If so, where and why? And because, from my years in higher education, I saw a lot of people come into higher education and they were top of their class, and I met them and I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to be fantastic. They'd wipe out so quickly sometimes you couldn't hardly even remember their name. And then you'd have some, kid that you thought, I don't know how they got in, Mama or Daddy must have given some money or something, because I think they're stoned right now. And the next thing you know, 4 years later, they'd be walking the stage, super successful and go on and do great things. Yeah. But bottom line is that time period, 18 to 21 years old is where you find yourself. Yep. And you either find yourself going the right direction or you find yourself in the ditch, and both are good, because you got to figure that out at some point in time like that. And so what McKinney Education Foundation is trying to do is set those seniors up for success, whatever that next step is. So it's neat stuff. It's worth being a little goofy and getting out on a runway and trying to raise a few dollars.
And you two decided to help raise that money.
Yeah. I mean, Fred's already got his kids through the system, and he went to another school district that was next door to the west a little bit.
Didn't know about this until after.
Frisco ISD. With apologies to Frisco ISD. Couldn't care less about them for the purposes of this event. This is a McKinney ISD product. Yeah. And this is the McKinney Podcast. So respectfully, I know there's 11 school districts represented within the city limits of McKinney, which is insane. 11 school districts. Yeah, we're only really concerned about the McKinney School District for the purpose of this event. Right. All those other school districts have their own events on a different podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So when you thought about doing this event and you sat down, I know you guys probably had some memories going on in your head about your time in school. I want to know one of your best memories of school.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man, my best so my best memory has got to be walking into summer band 1986. And, I hadn't played an instrument since 5th grade. Now I'm a junior. And I walk into the band room, and there is the band director who I had seen at the school. There's one of my friends that rode the bus with me, and sitting next to her was the new girl in town. Her name was Elizabeth.
I know where you're going with this.
Best day.
Didn't have much to do with band, did it?
No, sir.
I don't have scholarships for that, Fred.
McKinney Education Foundation, future wife, future husband, dating service.
That's right. But, but to be fair, though, not only did, we find each other initially in band, but I really fell in love with band, so much so that junior, senior year. And then when we were, through school and gainfully employed, we're working for the public school system there in Tampa, Florida, and we fall right in with the band. And Elizabeth is working with the drill team. I'm taking photos a little bit, but I'm announcing halftime for the band. Eventually, I'm announcing the football games. And then when our boys came along, we just said, well, let's just see if they even like band. We didn't push them towards it, but man, they were in band, and we were band parents for both of them through school. And to this day, our youngest graduated in 2020. I'm still out there taking pictures of band and all football and all those things. So, we are fully ingrained in the school system and supporting whatever it is. And, where do you get in life without education?
Yeah.
Where do you get in life?
Well, it's a step further than that, I bet. It's where do you get in education without the right educators? Because every one of us sitting here can tell a story or two about somebody out there. Archie P. McDonald was mine. You probably knew him. He was a history professor at Stephen F. Austin State University.
Name sounds familiar.
And he was just, hard. And I failed his test. And I thought, oh, well, I make a C in the class. I don't care. He called me into his office, want to know why I fell, because I'd done well on the quizzes. And I said, man, I hadn't been asleep in 48 hours because of my job. And he goes, have you had any sleep now? And I said, yes, sir. And I said, but I understand I'm going to make a C or a D in the class. That's fine. And he put his little syllabus over there, and he had it highlighted in yellow. You fail the comprehensive final. You fail the class. And so like any other good man, I just started crying right there at his desk and bawling on myself. I can't fail. My brother failed out of college. Now I'm going to fail out of college. He slid it across, laid a number 2 pencil down, lit a cigar, which you could do in those days, and said, take it again. And, luckily I made a 72 on it that time. I got a B in the class. And honestly, years later, I became friends with the guy. I didn't know I was going to end up in education and at higher education, and had an ad agency. His wife ran for mayor. I ran her campaign. She won. We're over at their house, and you look across and go, I'm standing here with a guy that literally could have taken my life a different direction.
Yeah.
But he invested, and every one of us got a story like that of a teacher or two that finally, you don't listen to your parents, you don't listen to your friends, and you get one that gets through to you, and they're truly lifesavers at times. My wife was a kindergarten teacher forever, and even at that age, she said some things to some kindergartners that probably changed their life forever. And that's pretty cool. People forget that's how important teachers are.
How long were you on staff at SFA?
A long time, James.
A long time.
Dude, I was in higher education 30 years. I was 22 years there, and started as call faculty and up to vice president for alumni affairs, and then left and was president of a college for 7 years after that. And then I'd had a belly full, but had a great experience seeing those 18 to 21-year-olds find themselves.
Yeah.
All right,
Did you ever have a class with him?
No, I never had the pleasure.
What's your best? What's your best school memory?
I don't have one for high school because I was homeschooled before it was cool to be homeschooled. You want to hear a story about me sitting at the desk in my room doing my stuff?
Was that a parent's choice, or had you already been kicked out?
It was actually a parent's choice. Yeah, those are long stories, but I went to Angelina, did the inexpensive thing to get core classes done, went to SFA, and man, I don't even know where to start. I absolutely loved my time at SFA. That it was a wonderful experience. Brad and I met in, what was it, 06, 07?
Fall of 07, I believe, when I came to campus.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember you were at the football game with your axe handle chanting, I think we were yelling at McNeese, and I was like, all right, this guy's here to, to bring the heat.
Yeah. That surprises zero people in this room, I'm sure. I was the shirtless guy painted from, head to toe with an axe handle, because that's what you do at SFA.
Zero
Which
listeners
might
either.
be a good look on the runway. I'm just putting my input there for you.
I can promise you, me without clothing and painted will not be happening on the runway. Yeah. Man, I don't know where to start. There's so many SFA stories. I'm literally drawing a blank on which one is relevant and appropriate. There's several that maybe not be podcast appropriate, involving hijinks and late night things, pranks and whatnot. But yeah, the football games were a lot of fun. For being as bad as we were for all those years. We never lost the cheering section, that's for sure.
Well, I know the shenanigans haven't left y'all, so I'm sure we'll see those on stage at the event.
There's going to be something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever broken out the hook to drag talent off the stage?
We might have to do that with you guys.
No,
I will give one to Sheila.
Sheila has threatened me with bodily harm if we're not at 2 minutes and 5 seconds or less. It's like, after 5 seconds, we're sending in the goons to get you off the stage.
The knuckle draggers.
Yeah, exactly.
Get Miles and Brad to pull you off.
One thing about Sheila, that's true, probably.
That's right.
There's not any gray area there.
We're not crossing her.
Carolyn might just say it casually, but Sheila means business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's going to have a stopwatch. Click.
Yeah. And when Fred and I practice in our 1, 2, 3, 4 choreography sessions, we're going to have to be like very timing. So.
That's right.
I love it.
We should do some behind the scenes videos.
Yeah.
We could probably.
I'm sure Allison or Elizabeth could accommodate that request. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could also do a blooper reel.
Oh, that would be
great.
What
if the blooper reel is on stage? Because that might actually happen.
Listen, my life is a 24/7 blooper reel.
So what else do you want folks to hear about? Because I feel like
I really want to know, Commercial Bank of Texas is sponsoring the Top Models event because we are truly, truly involved in our community like no other bank is, in my opinion.
Like no other bank, yeah.
I mean, I'm a little biased, but...
Well, and I'm biased too, because when it was time to move everything away from a big national bank who had amazing technology, good banker, they were just way too dang conservative on the way that they handle lending for small businesses. And they literally caused us to lose 6 weeks of time on an acquisition for another agency that we're rolling into RiskWell. And after 6 weeks, almost, they came back and said, yeah, our underwriters can't do this. And was like, are you friggin' kidding me? Like, if you're going to tell me no, could you at least not make me wait 6 weeks for the no?
Yeah.
Like, deliver the no a little faster next time, would you? Literally, the first call I made was to you. It was like, okay, time to move things. Like, I'm done with this. Nothing against our banker at one of those big 4 national banks. I mean, they both were apologetic. It was like, I know this stinks. And was like, I'm not mad at you, but I mean, I can't have this. Like, my business needs what it needs, and I need bankers that are thinking, with flexibility and creativity. Because at the end of the day, the real problem is our growth has been insane this year. Our tax return for last year doesn't reflect the growth from this year. I'm sitting here looking at a balance sheet going, can you not, we're in September, guys. Can you not consider what's happened in the last 8 months in your bank underwriting? They're like, no, we have to go off and file tax returns. And I'm like, well, I'm just talking to the wrong bank.
Yeah.
I mean, and as a small local business, we only have 14 people that work here. Mm-hmm. I ain't mad about working with a small local bank. When you guys compare it to the Wells and BOAs and Chases of the world, you guys are a speck on a fly on the windshield. But for the people that you work with, I mean, it could be the difference between making a deal happen and making a deal fall out because your banker couldn't get their act together.
Yeah, and that's what we believe in.
And that's something too. I mean, we jokingly say we want to be, we got to be efficient and effective. We got to have the technology. We call ourselves fast followers. We watch what happens in the industry. But the other thing that we want to be that most of them don't is we want to be a little bit country hokey. And we're proud of it. I mean, my cell number's on my card. Rusty, the CEO, cell numbers on his card. Call me on the weekend. Call Brad. Call Andy. It doesn't matter. We want that.
Yeah.
And what we've learned to do is, that, and we certainly do a great job in our, social media and our supporting things like that. But the best way we do that is stuff like this right here. You got to get out into the community, and people got to realize, they're really just really good people.
Yeah.
And, we're not always going to be able to do it the way our customers want it done. There are rules, regulations, things we have to do.
Yep.
But we're going to talk about it, and we're going to pick on each other, and we're going to joke about it, and I'm going to know you, and you're going to know me. That's how that deal works. It's truly relationship driven. And if you just put a billboard up on 75 and you don't get involved in the community, to me, you don't deserve a space. I mean, you got to commit. We had one of our, not founders, but early bank presidents and on the board, he used to say, the bank will prosper as the community prospers.
Yep.
And, bottom line is we need small businesses like yours in this community. And we need small businesses like yours in this community, and we got to be ready to help you. And sometimes that help is, you don't have your act together. It's not time to do that yet. Let's look at this other way.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have that kind of relationship so that when that happens, you go, oh, I didn't think about that. How do I go about doing that?
Mm-hmm.
So we love being involved in the community. We love being involved in people's businesses. It's kind of like being an entrepreneur 1,000 times over because you get to kind of dabble in lots of things.
Yep.
But we really like being involved in the community too. I mean, it's a purpose-driven organization, and it's funny because we're actually located in 22 different locations, and you can go to any of those. James, you'll understand this. In Lufkin, Texas, would a Nacogdoches bank ever succeed? Nope. You go to Nacogdoches, we're a Nacogdoches bank. You go to Lufkin, we're a Lufkin bank. We're a McKinney bank.
Yep.
We're an Emory bank. And the reason we do that is because our folks in those locations are going to embed themselves in the community.
Yeah.
And they're going to get out there and they're going to try to make that community better. And that's why we're involved in multiple education foundations, economic development corporations. 1 year we had, Brad, 5 different Rotary presidents at one time in different places, because we know those are organizations that are going to impact communities, and we want to be in the middle of it.
And it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but we say this and we genuinely mean it. We want to be the biggest small bank that exists in Texas.
Yeah.
We want to treat our people like people. We want to know their names. We want to know their stories. And we want to be large enough that we're efficient and able to compete with the market, take down the giants, take down those big four.
And that's where I was going to go, actually, is what are you guys going to do to beat your competitors? What are you going to do that's unique and special for your community with MEF? See how we led into that?
Oh,
Love
man.
it. I'll let you go first, man.
So what am I going to do?
Yeah. Or you together, but really,
I'm going to let Fred go first because I have a different tack on this from the fundraising side of things, and I'm tapping into a completely different bucket than anybody else who's raising funds for this thing.
You are, and I've heard your ideas. Now, I know Fred's going to go on social media. You're really great at that.
Yeah, well, actually, Elizabeth is really the driver again. So,
this is my shocked face.
Yeah, and this is my humble face.
Thank goodness for band. That's all I got to say.
And Mr. Jim Connor, our band director, Did
he officiate the wedding?
No, but he could have. But when it comes to, I'm just going to put it in band terms. Everybody has their role, has their part. No one is above anyone else. And just like, the amoeba race, if you've ever done that, the person who is probably the least, is just as important as the person who's the greatest. And the greatest person cannot move ahead and leave anyone behind. So when it comes to, just the fundraising aspect of it, we've been here in McKinney since December of 2010. Mm-hmm. And, we immediately, we knew that for us to establish ourselves, not in the sense of we want people to know us, but we wanted to know what our community was about and how we could get involved, because we've always been involved wherever, was that, we just need to get out there. So we have been. And so, for 15 years, we've been doing our thing. And, I love, Elizabeth and I love just being able to serve and give wherever it is that we can with whatever we can. We don't have deep pockets to stroke big checks. We wish we could, but we have talents and we have abilities and gifts that we've been given. And so for me, it's like, I've got my camera. I'm out there, you need photos, let me take photos. And so, over the years, we've just looked for opportunities for, whether it's a charity this or a fundraising that, or even, this isn't a, any sort of look how awesome we are, but we've met people who have just been, in a place where they're like, I need to, polish up the resume.
Yeah.
I need to, get a better professional presence. And I'm like, just come on down.
My very first headshot, you guys did that for me, and it was a gift.
Really?
Because I was not with a lot of money, brand new entry level banker at the time, and my very first headshot was a Fred shot.
Yeah. See, and so as Elizabeth reminds me that it's great to be able to give, but sometimes you have to be humble enough to receive. Yeah. And so she's been contacting some of our clients that we've served for years, some probably at the decade level, and just said, hey, Fred's in this contest to, benefit the McKinney Education Foundation, and here's the link. And, she started doing that, and I mean, people are giving, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, it's like, I wish they wouldn't. And she's and she's just telling me, hush, hush, it's not about you. It's about, the difference that you can make. It's the same thing that you do with your cameras.
Yeah.
Same thing that you do, just in a different application. I'm like, okay, I can receive that. But, thank goodness for her, because, God has been good, and your business has been, we've also had an amazing, growth this year, and I've just been slammed. And, so I'm just taking pictures and trying to get them out as fast as possible. And so, she's working in the nooks and crannies of, being full-time what she does, as well as, FredShots is a photo business. I'm the photo, she's the business, so she's working in, multiple things, just to see to my success. So, what, I'm not saying I'm sitting back, just peeling, having peeled grapes fed to me. But,
please get a picture of that if that happens.
That's right.
Yes, they're coming for the MEF and for the teachers and students, but you're that vessel that
That's right.
is bringing the money
because
through from your success.
Because the truth is, as Elizabeth said, much the same as FredShots is looking for an opportunity to make a difference, a meaningful, personal difference. There are people out there that are looking for an opportunity to make a meaningful, purposeful difference, and they have no idea about MEF or, any of these things. And so when we come along and say, hey, there's a need over here, we're just connecting the two, or even then, it's like one of my favorite analogies is that, we've been given a blessing, and we're not to be a cul-de-sac collecting that, but we're to be a conduit, to transmit that blessing from me to wherever it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And that's really the gift right there, is that, you get to be part of that process. But yeah, so, I wish I had, like a 3-point strategy and, a PowerPoint to go along with it, but that's really it.
Elizabeth has already drafted those for you. They're in your inbox right now.
Yes. But James has got a whole other viewpoint of what you're going to do.
Yeah. I try to think, there's so many people that have been around McKinney longer than I have that have deeper connections than I do. And I'm going to do all the usual things of, hey, McKinney Podcast, email people. Here's a little thing. Hey, McKinney cares. Here's a little thing. And, Michael and I will make sure that that's done correctly, because we don't want to ever be like too self-promoting in there. But the thing that I'm going to do that's different, and this is actually Allison's idea, my wife's idea. I got to give her credit for it. She's like, you can talk to people that nobody else can because you've got a network of insurance professionals from across the country. I've spent the last 4.5 years building into my peer group in the industry. I had a podcast that ran almost 200 episodes in the insurance industry with 7,000 or 8,000 monthly listeners. Did the public speaking thing. I've done the consulting thing. I wrote a book in the insurance world, and I have a really deep network in the insurance world. And Allison was like, "Wouldn't it be fun if you just, made a press and put the word out to get your network across all 48 states and get all 48 states represented with a donation of some kind?" And it was like, that actually wouldn't be that hard to do. I can sit here and name off at least one or two people that I know in every state of the 48. Not Alaska or Hawaii. I'm pretty sure no one actually lives there. That's fake news. Those are just vacation destinations. But yeah, the other 48 states. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to get at least one donation from the other 48 states.
Yeah,
it's specifically from the insurance community, other people that own agencies across the country, and I think that'd be really cool just to be able to say, hey, you know what? These 48 insurance agencies supported NEF or MEF, not NEF. That's a different city. MEF's, mission was supported by these 48 insurance agents that I know from across the country, and obviously potentially more than 48, but at least 48. And I'm just going to ask them straight up. It's like, hey, I want $100 from you. Let's go support the mission. And
I think she's so moved, you've got her choked up now.
Yeah. But that's basically the plan, because I don't want to be the same person, asking the same person for money that 4 other people in the event are asking for. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, James, sorry, I've already given to 2 of your competitors. So it's like, well, I got to do something other than ask the same pool.
One thing it's kind of neat we do at the MEF board meeting is we have a little video vignette where they've gone out and they've interviewed a couple of students that are recipients of scholarships already. So they're in college or they're ending their college experience, and they're talking about the impact that scholarship had, or that college advisor program had, or some project they got to work on that happened because of one of those teacher grants. And it really, we're sitting at a board meeting and we got all the numbers and we got all the slides to go through, and you got your different committees that, it looks like every other board meeting in America. But we do that at the beginning because it's an adamant reminder why we're really doing all this. Yeah. And I want y'all to be cute on the runway and do some goofy stuff. Need to be talking about it next year. That's fantastic. I think having 48 different states represented in your donor pool, that is a unique idea. But man, at the end of the day, just don't forget why we do this. Mm-hmm. And we do that for some 18-year-olds you hadn't met yet, that we're going to have a chance to help them get over that hump. And, you're talking to these, you see these students, and I mean, and I know y'all are shocked and surprised, but I wasn't that sharp when I was 18 years old. I wouldn't, if you had to be like that to get a scholarship, I would have probably not even gotten out of high school. They're really, really sharp kids that I think, we forget this, but you're investing in our future, because some of those kids, the good news, are going to be your competitors in this town. They're going to move back here. They're going to live in the McKinney ISD, and they're going to help this community grow. And so you're helping that next wave. And don't ever forget that it's kind of like us being a little country hokey as a bank. Man, it's very simple. We're trying to help kids. And I can tell from the personalities sitting around this room, we all needed us a little help, and I might need it a little more, but that's what we're doing, is making a difference in a kid's life.
Yeah. I mean, you can ask Dr. Tice Bradley how much help I needed in grad school. So, yeah.
Which just makes me sick to my stomach, since Ty was a student of mine.
You remember him. Oh, I love it.
Back's hurt.
Shout out to both Dr. Spradleys. They were phenomenal.
Yeah.
I never had Elizabeth.
Did you really?
I never had her as a prof.
Oh man, she was great.
I have audited some of her stuff, but I never had her as a professor. Yeah, I mean, Ty was stuck with me for several classes.
And it's just weird, you calling them Dr. Spradleys. I mean, that's just so weird to me because I think of them as college kids.
Well, I mean, I think before they were technically doctors was when I was in undergrad, and I would go to a Bible study at their house every Tuesday night. Elizabeth would cook me dinner, and they're just the best people, but phenomenal professors. And I love that we got to hear stories of each of you guys getting poured into and seeing how you've poured into the community and now have an opportunity to even pour into future students and pay that forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Brad, I'm just sitting here. You kind of tickled me because you're talking about going to the Bible study at their house and all. When Brad had barely been working for us, we were at a meeting and he pointed out in the middle of one of the meetings, this true story, that he said something smart aleck, and I said, "How old are you?" And he said, "I am literally the same age as your daughter," because they and so I appropriately gave him the number 1 sign. And he said, he looked across the table and said, "Okay, when this boss guy will do that, this is a place I want to work," like that. So, the memories seem to be a little different. You got this for the Spradleys, and I'm, down there giving you the thumbs up.
It takes both,
No, the funny thing is, I mean, I'm 41, and I've just realized from having a bunch of people at work here that are in their early mid-20s, and it was like, so many of the references I make just goes right over their head. It's like, oh my gosh, I've reached the age when people don't understand my jokes anymore. I was like, that happened faster than I thought it would.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
If you're authorized to talk to people in the elevator and make dad jokes randomly to anybody.
Oh, I am shameless with the dad jokes, man. I was making dad jokes years before I was a dad, but once I became a dad, it was like,
just lean into it.
I'm not even apologizing anymore.
That's right.
I knew I had hit that age when I heard Madonna Like a Virgin in elevator music. I knew, man, it's, I'm getting there.
Our team last night, I was sitting there watching football and I saw something on Facebook and it made me chuckle. So I sent it to the whole team and it was just a picture that said, "This is wrong on so many levels." And someone had written the word "wrong" in painter's tape and stuck it on a bunch of levels, like actual bubble levels. I was like, "This is wrong on so many levels." And I'm just like,
no, that's funny. It's
that's
true alliteration.
I don't know. It's the 20-year-old does not find that funny.
No.
I think it's hilarious.
But if you could sit down with a senior from one of our schools, any of the McKinney schools, what would you tell them? What advice, if you had 10 minutes on a podcast to just impart wisdom, what wisdom would you impart?
Be you. Don't be what the world wants you to be. Don't be what you think your friend group wants you to be. Because there's something that I learned being the weird, awkward kid in high school. I had a very, very small group of friends. I was never in the cool crowd. I never felt like I really had any idea who I was. And I got to SFA and was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to be me. And if they like it, great. If they don't like it, I don't freaking care. Whatever. And that was the life I lived at SFA. And what do you know? It's like, oh, people that are just, they are who they are. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, whatever. There's plenty of people that like it, so I don't care if you don't like it.
That's good.
Just be yourself. And if it's moral, if it's ethical, if it's legal, do what makes you happy. Life is way too short to live someone else's life.
That you just gave living proof of what I talked about earlier. It was when you were at SFA, when you were in that 18 to 21 year category that you decided, you know what, I'm going to be me.
Yeah.
And that's so important. And unfortunately, there are people that never figure that out. And you did. You were in the right space at the right time, and it's been powerful for you in your life.
Yeah, it's free.
And you've been blessed because of it. And I think so many people miss that. But that's, when you're that young age in college, it's, They always say, well, go to college, they try things they shouldn't, well, they do. They try things they shouldn't, like that. I'm going to be me. I'm going to see if this works. And son of a gun, it worked, and it worked really well. And it made you able to go forward and be influential and cause some great things to happen with a local business. And good for you.
The thing about the students, and I want to point out, and Fred, I'm going to let you go for sure, because I don't want to miss that. We were sitting at church. We go to Cottonwood Creek in Allen, and the pastor was talking about the increase in the last 10 or 15 years or so in the rates of anxiety and depression and like medication in teens.
Yes.
And in preteens even, and how the suicide rates, along with anxiety and depression in teens and preteens, they track so closely with the technology advancements of smartphones, the prevalence of social media platforms. It's like there is a direct correlation between the advances in these areas and the rates of anxiety and depression and identity issues in our young people. And when I think about the kind of advice of, hey, just be you, the social anxiety that these kids deal with is unlike, Brad and I were in high school 20 years ago. We cannot even imagine, and we're the youngest two people in this room by a few years. Even Brad and I cannot imagine what these kids deal with on a daily basis. The 24-hour news cycle, the anxiety machine in their pocket, where they're constantly measuring themselves against their peer group and feeling like, 99 times out of 100, they don't add up. They're constantly dealing with, am I good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, athletic enough, cool enough? These kids deal with stuff that none of us ever had to deal with when we were that age. And my heart just goes out to them in such a big way. And I just want to be like, hey, it's okay. The things that you are worried about right now don't actually matter. You think they do. But once you grow up a little bit, you're going to laugh at this version of you and go, man, I just got so wrapped up in stuff that in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter a bit. And the other thing, sometimes you just want to see these kids I just want to give them a hug and pat them on the back of the head and be like, hey, it's going to be okay. Because so many of them are walking around with this dead face on. And we're just like, it's okay. You're going to be fine.
And I think, that the phone advancement thing can be so toxic, and it's a constant comparison against yourself and others. And it makes it so easy to forget that you were fearfully and wonderfully created to be uniquely you.
That's right.
For a purpose that was laid out beforehand. And, your advice of, hey, be you, really speaks to that.
It does,
I think the kids do need to hear that.
For sure.
Fred, what's your answer,
What's you, Fred?
Man, James, that was a pretty strong word right there. I completely agree with what you said. And I was thinking, man, I was going to kind of say something like that. At the same time, so now hear me out, especially, those of you who are watching this segment here, because ultimately, we're here to support the McKinney Education Foundation. One thing I want to say to students is that, ask yourself why. Why do you want to make good grades? Why do you want to go to school? I love what you said, Miles, at the beginning, whether it's you go to college or you go to a trade school. A lot of students go to college because that's what I'm supposed to do. It's like, what do you mean that's what you're supposed to do? Some of the most brilliant and successful people never went to college. Or many of the brilliant and successful people went to college, got a degree in something, and did something else. And so I'm not saying don't go to college, because at its very base, I believe that when you go for that secondary education, the discipline of holding yourself responsible, because just like you said, fail the final, fail the course. You have things set out for you, and you have to make that decision every day, or every day that you have class, that I'm going to go to class. And there's no one here. My mom and dad aren't here to say, you need to get to class, you're going to be tardy, and these things, did you do your homework? Did you brush your teeth? No, there's none of that. And just the discipline of going to school and holding yourself accountable and responsible and, owning up to things that, I missed the mark on that, and then, you start questioning, why am I even here? Because I know lots of people, I have lots of clients, brilliantly financially successful in their careers, but living an empty life, and, that's what leads to that all of a sudden I wake up, I'm 50, I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. The passion isn't there, the purpose isn't there. There's lots of paycheck, but make sure that when you are young, what James said, don't be afraid to ask questions of other people. Why do you do that? And ask, what satisfaction do you find in that? Because at the end of the day, we can have all the money that we want, but if you're not satisfied in who you are and what you're doing, you're just a hamster on a wheel, just going after it. And and I was doing that for a while. I thought I was getting somewhere and doing something, but in the end, I was like, man, this is really not what I want. And all of a sudden, I realized that money was not the goal. Money was not the goal. And that I started looking at other people. I was like, man, he makes a difference. She makes a difference. And some of them, they have more commas in their bank account than I can count. I'm like, that's amazing. And other people, practically penniless, but they all had that joy, that satisfaction, that thing that, what wakes you up in the morning and keeps you up late at night. Hopefully it's not anxiety. Hopefully it's not that. And so, for those students that are out there, the world is your oyster. And I 100% agree with you that, these devices are not the answer. And what you think is your ultimate goal, and let's just look at drinkware, right? At first, what was the cup that everyone needed to have? The Tervis tumbler. You remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that double insulated plastic cup that if you dropped it, it was done, right? You needed to have the Tervis tumbler. That lasted for a long time, and then the Yeti came along. Like, I can't have a Tervis, I got to have a Yeti, and then the Yeti reigned supreme for the longest time. And then all of a sudden the Stanley comes along. You got to have the Stanley Cup. And there's nothing wrong with any of those because they're all great insulated, cups. But how I saw students pursuing those, like, Dad, Mom, got to have this cup. I was like, really? I was like,
it's a cup.
What's wrong? What's wrong with the?
But you already have a cup.
That's right.
It works just fine.
That's right. And the insanity over, got to get this one, got to get that one. I was like, why do we have this comparison game? Just exactly what you said. I'm not enough unless, and the marketing companies know this, and they're looking for you to get hooked on that endorphin hit for the like. If you don't get any response to your post, all of a sudden, you get invaded with all these lies of, oh, you're a loser, nobody likes you, nobody's paying attention to you, you better change something because you have no value. And it's not based on any of that. But you will never get there unless you actually take the time to ask yourself why, just why, and not just a random why everything, but like you can ask somebody Target or Walmart and they'll say one or the other. McDonald's, Burger King, they'll say one or the other. And it's okay to have your preference, right? It's okay to have your preference, and it's okay to not agree with everybody else.
Man, it's you just laid out a masterclass there. The number is, we run a commercial insurance firm, and the number of people that we talk to year in and year out who went to college and they're doing something that they went to college for, it's single-digit percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, if I took a list of the most successful people that we do insurance for, I'd say less than 10% of them are in a field where you have to have a college degree to do that thing. The majority of them are in some kind of entrepreneurial thing where they went to the school of hard knocks. And it's kind of weird that I say this because, yeah, I have 2 degrees from college. I have a bachelor's. I have a master's. I have 3 very lengthy professional certifications. I'm not a guy who's poo-pooing education. Like, that's not it at all. I'm just saying there's a lot of different ways to be wildly successful in this life. And the fact that MEF is just as interested in trade school and other educational platforms, diesel mechanic, electrician, there's a lot of ways to have a great life and have a career that is whatever you want it to be.
Brad knows this story back when my first go, when I was a professor only, wasn't an administrator or anything like that, hadn't moved over to banking. I just like the Spradleys. I'm just a professor. And I had a dean call me into the office, and I'd come up early for promotion, and he had stopped the promotion because he thought I needed a few more years. And I'll never forget the guy sitting across from me, and he said, "Miles, you'll understand someday. With age comes wisdom. And I looked across and I said, let me tell you something. It's not age. It's with experience.
That's right.
Comes wisdom. And what young people don't realize is they can grab multiple experiences at a time. You know, I worked my way through college. Oh, poor thing. I had 2 jobs. Radio station midnight. To tell you how good I am, I had the midnight to 4 shift. That was the good one. And I worked on the railroad on the weekends, you know, and I drove a tow truck in high school. And I'm telling you, all of those things assembled into my life in ways that made me be able to understand folks, advance more quickly when I would take on a challenge. And young people don't realize that. And that's one thing that's neat. You know, the college experience, even if it is a trade school, you go off somewhere. I'd say the same thing about joining the military. Okay. Right. You live in this world that every one of us as parents try to create the safest, best world for our kids. And we go through a time in our life where every single decision we make that's significant is it the decision for the kids? Do we live in this neighborhood? Do they go to that school? What do we do? Do we homeschool them? Do we send them here? That's what you do, okay? They move away, and they get to make decisions not influenced by that anymore. And that experience is why 18 to 21, your light switch comes on, is because it's the first time you've really been able to do it on your own. And yeah, sometimes you make a bad decision. Man, I learned from some bad decisions. I made a few, and I learned from every one of them. And I learned not to make as many bad decisions. I got to make 51% good decisions, or I'm in trouble.
That's your passing grade.
But I think that's what, you know, young people should hear is that life is about collecting experiences. And if you there are very few kids that go to college that say, I'm going to major in this and I'm going to be an accountant, and they stay all 4 years in the program, and then they go sit for the CPA exam, and then they're accountant until they're 65 years old and retire. That's just not happening much anymore. You know, I've had to learn even that it's okay. I'm old enough that, you know, we get 1,000 resumes for every job we have at the bank and all that, and it just drives me nuts. You open it up, and most of those people haven't stayed anywhere more than about 2 years. The young people now, you know, my grandpa worked for the same place until he retired, you know, and that just doesn't happen anymore. And I used to think, I'm not going to hire that one. I'm not going to hire that one. They're just bouncing around. And I've had to learn that, you know, I'm the idiot here. They bounced around. They got several experiences that are going to help them make them powerful in our organization. Right. And I think young people need to collect as many experiences as they can.
Absolutely. You know, you just reminded me that when I was in, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, how did you get to where you are? You know, what journalism degree did you get? I was like, in my bachelor's and master's degrees, I took 1 semester of a photography class. I got a D in it.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, you know, and, you know, I had all these things like, you don't understand, I'm Asian. I've had a camera in my hand since I think before I could walk. And, you know, I got a D from the professor, and I don't think I learned, well, obviously I didn't learn because the grades show it. What I really learned from that class was how not to interact with other people, how not to talk to people who aren't a photographer like you. And, you know, as a result of that, I think that's the lesson that I learned from college was more personal interaction, that you have to consider that the person that you're talking to has no idea what you're talking about. And that if I talk to them like they're an idiot, they're going to be turned off, you know, and I'm not winning friends or influencing anybody. And so, yes, the college experience, that was one of those, you know, serendipitous things where at the end of the class, I was like, you know what? It's like, man, I think I'm still a good photographer. And I think I definitely have more to learn, more to grow. She obviously was very accomplished. But at the same time, she's a terrible, terrible person. And it's like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, I don't want to be miserable like that.
No, that's right. You know, and amazingly
enough.
We had
a couple of those at SFA too, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys ready for your lightning round?
I was about to say, yeah, we've got an hour run time.
All right, let's go. Here we go. Lightning round.
Lightning round.
I'm going to give you something from the year that you graduated or your high school, and I want you to say whatever pops into your mind. Okay? Way you dressed.
Clueless.
You dressed cluelessly. See, I remember MC Hammer pants.
Yeah, everything was athletic wear.
It was all athletic
basketball
wear.
Shorts, Jordans, you know, whatever.
You had to look sporty.
Yeah.
Favorite music?
Favorite music? Oh man. Well, I've liked all music. But when I graduated high school, I was somewhere between the Fat Boys and Whitesnake.
I got it.
Wow.
Wow.
I like his question better.
That's a pause.
Well, I can give you clothing.
Yeah,
Bugle Boys and Genera.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't afford Z Cavaricci.
I remember Z Cavaricci's.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no idea what
I
that
think
is.
I still have a pair. And we're dating ourselves, but other people will understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Best movie.
Braveheart.
What was the best movie of your graduating years?
My graduating year.
Years? No, so that was 1995.
Yeah, no.
A Beautiful Mind.
Okay. All right.
Gladiator.
Yeah.
I don't know. Braveheart was 1995.
That was later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember movies too much, but somewhere in there, it's going to be, I think Top Gun came out before I graduated.
That was 86.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, or Coming to America,
Yeah, that's what I remember too. Yeah.
It's like people are going to go, oh, okay, that explains a lot.
Been there, done that.
I love it. Well, you guys have been great. Thank you for letting us have a reverse podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support of MEF.
We may have y'all back again sometime. We'll let you know.
We'll let you know how it goes.
We'll have our people call your people.
For another,
if you guys want to start a bank podcast, I can show you how to do it.
I think
That's not
we
a
got
bad
it on
idea.
the agenda.
I'm not even kidding. If you guys want to start a bank podcast, I can walk you through it. So this was fun.
This was great. And for all the top models, thank you so much. For Fred and James, we just can't thank you enough. Go raise some money for MEF, and it's great having you.
Yeah, for those of you that want to figure out, and there's my camera right there. Sorry, I finally found it after an hour of doing this. I'm not used to sitting in this chair. For those of you that want to contribute and want to participate in the event, we'll put the links in the show notes. I'll only put my link. I won't put Fred's link. No, I'm kidding, obviously. If you want to support Fred, his link will be there, and my link will be there too. And thank you in advance for supporting the Person with a Purpose, because it's like, it's not America's Next Top Model. Like, that's a show.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a different thing entirely. But yeah, thanks for making this happen, Andy. I appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
And this has been another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. Thank you to CBTX for their support of education in McKinney. Y'all take care.